Welcome to Steiners Winemaking 101 Part 7. If you've been following this video series, you'll know that we are now going to be bottling and finishing our Niagara Mist Pinot Noir. Well, we finished filtering our wine, now we're going to bottle. And what I've done, this is another tool that you can choose to get. It's a bottle tree, and I've cleaned all my bottles. They're ready to go. All we have to do is rinse them out and sterilize them. Okay, so we're going to need 30 of our green bottles. Alright, so that makes 30 bottles. We're using our bottle washer. And we're also going to use another tool called an abonator. And essentially what this does is you put your sterilant inside, and as you pump it up and down, the sterilant sprays into the bottle, making it very, very simple to sterilize your bottles. So that's all put together. That again later. Actually, I'll leave this on the counter. So we just pump it up and down, and you get your sterilant into the bottles. The only other way you could do it is actually pour a little bit of sterilant in and then shake it around a bit. So I find this tool very simple to use and quite important. So we'll sterilize all 30 right away. Okay, so that's our last one. We're doing our bottle sterilizing. And again, with the sterilant, whatever's left over goes back into the container. Next thing we're going to do is rinse all the bottles and then get them ready for the actual bottling. I'll just clean this up quick. This just comes apart. There for now. And again, our bottle washer. Just a nice glass of water. This process actually goes quite quickly. That's our last two bottles. Finished. These are now ready to hold wine. Okay. Move our wine into a better location. And for bottling, we're going to be using our racking tube and hose again. And then we have another tool, which is a bottle filler. Okay. Much like that wine thief that we used earlier in the video, it's just a tube that goes onto the end of your racking tube, and at the bottom there's a little valve. So when you press down, it'll release wine into the bottle. When you lift up, you can transfer it over and it'll hold the wine. Okay, so let's get this stuff ready to go. Our racking goes. Okay, so we're just going to leave this sit in the sterilant, and to bottle our wine, we have to transfer from the carboy down into the bottle, so we have to create a siphon. So we're going to leave our carboy on the counter, and then line up our bottles on the floor just below. Alright, and that's the last one. Grab our bottler, rinse it off. tableware just goes on the end of the hose of your racking hose. It's a fairly tight fit. And there we are. Use the chair here because it's back breaking otherwise. And you just start a siphon. There it goes. And you just let it fill. When I lift up, it'll stop. And you want to have your wine right about the bottom of the neck. Okay, transfer to the next one. You're going to get a little bit of wine on the floor, but not bad. And at the top, you just kind of open the valve by touching the side of the wine bottle. Next one. So it goes fairly quickly. It's not a very hard job to do. Okay, so we're almost done. The racking hose is pointed towards the back of the carboy, on the side of the carboy. We want to get all the wine out, so again we're going to use our hook to prop up the carboy to ensure that we get every last drop. There we go. We're not going to get quite 30 bottles out of this batch. Between 28 and 29, I'm sure. Okay, so here's the last bottle. Set her up a little more. And that's all we're going to get out of it. This will just pour out into a glass or something, put it in the fridge, and have some later. So there's your bottles. Next thing we got to do is cork it. So we'll grab our corker and put corks in the bottles. Got our floor corker. And we're going to grab our corks. Here's a really good idea for you. The type of cork that we sell, there's many different types, is a dry insertion cork. Some corks you would soak in water and sulfite solution. We don't have to do that. It's actually quite messy. I just take my corks, put them in a Tupperware container, and just sprinkle some metabisulfite in the container dry. And that'll keep your cork sterile, and then you don't have a mess of wet corks while you're corking. Okay, so if you take your cork, pop it in the corker, and just simply pop it in a cork bottle. There's a number of different types of corkers out there, and the floor corker is definitely one that makes it a lot easier. So as you're corking, you want the cork to be nice and flush with the top of the bottle. Okay, see this here, it's a nice flush cork. That can be adjusted the height of the cork by turning this nut. Okay, so if you find that your cork's not going in far enough or it's going in too far, you can adjust the depth of which the cork will go in with that nut. Okay, so that's the last one. Now that these are corked, you're going to want to leave these sit upright for between 24 and 48 hours, and that'll give the cork time to expand properly and lessen the chance of leakage. So we can put these away and forget about them, but I'm going to actually put labels on and we'll put shrink caps on. You want to make your presentation, you want to make the bottle look nice. Okay? Let's grab some labels and we'll grab some shrink caps. We'll just wipe down these bottles, make them nice and clean. A lot of home winemakers like giving away their wine. They're proud of what they made to friends. And one of the nicest things is to do a nice presentation on the bottle. Add a proper label to it, add a shrink cap on top, and make it look like a finished product. Because wine does make a great gift. Now that our bottles are all clean, we can add our labels. Labels come in a variety of different styles. These particular ones are Niagara Mist Pinot Noir labels, and they're self-adhesive, which makes it very easy going on and coming off. You can get lick and stick labels, you can make your own computer labels. It's up to you. Okay, so these are a self-adhesive label, and you just simply peel the label off of the backing. Take your nice clean wine bottle, put it on nice and straight. Check that out. Doesn't that look nice? Everything's labeled, and the last thing we're going to do is put on our shrink caps. You can choose there's a multitude of colors of shrink caps, and I chose one that brings out the text of Niagara Mist. So it kind of matches, looks nice. So let's pop all these on. There's a couple of ways that you can shrink them on nice and tight. One way is to use a kettle, so the steam from a kettle. The other way is with a hot air gun. We're going to use the heat gun to shrink on our shrink caps. And again, it has to be a heat gun. A hair dryer definitely isn't going to be hot enough. Just warm up the heat gun a little bit. And then just turn the bottle as you're heating it up. You can burn through this. It will melt the plastic if you go too hard on it. There it is, a finished product. Nicely sealed. Just up and down. And now you have a completely finished bottle of wine. Congratulations. Well, we're all done our shrinks. We have 28 bottles of wine. We've invested approximately 3 hours, probably less than 3 hours of our time from when we started the wine kit to right now, the end. And we can now enjoy this wine. We can share it with our friends. It's going to sit on the counter here for a couple of days so the corks expand properly, and then you're going to want to store them in a wine rack. So that's it. Get out there and make some wine. Thanks for watching Steiners Winemaking 101. See ya.